Hey everybody, this is Cromar with TGN. I'm here today to bring you some more Rift beta coverage. This is beta 7, or the open beta, and today we're looking at the Warrior Paladin soul, which is one of the primary tanking souls. There's actually 4 tanking souls, and I've gone with actually the recommended pairing here, Warlord and Void Knight, although some people say Reaver. I think at higher levels it might work, but I don't think it works as well as this setup. But anyway, so let me show you what it looks like just soloing. You charge in, you have a whole array of attacks and buffs and debuffs that you need to use as part of your rotation here. I'll go over there more detail in a minute. And he tried to cast something, but I interrupted it. That guy had less health than normal mobs, because he's level 28, but he only had 1,000 health. So let me find a real mob here. Okay, so there's level 27 mob with normal health, so let's see how he goes. Charge in, use a buff, some other stuff here. Ooh, my frame rate's taking a hit here. Interesting. So you see they go down very slow. This is definitely not a recommended grinding spec. After I kill this guy, talk a little bit about the rotation. So, first, the talent point layout here, I went with Warlord Void Knight for my sub-specs. The reason I went for Warlord is there's a couple of really good abilities you get here. For one, you get an extra endurance, and then as well as you get extra health also from Gift for the Warlord. Then you get this ability here that you actually attack and gain armor, in addition to another armor bonus from talents here. Increased block chance, that's really huge, and then a buff for the party. This isn't a great buff, but it's something. What does it do at my level? Yeah, attack power and spell power of all raid members by 32 seconds. Warlord also gives you an armor debuff and a debuff to the enemy that makes them miss, 5% chance to miss. So overall, it's a pretty good choice. Void Knight is kind of a strange one. Without going into too much detail, it's based around draining mana, gaining these things called packs, which you spend with for various purposes, but putting a few points into this isn't very useful. You do get a lot of great defensive abilities once you get up higher in the tree, but generally the reason you take Void Knight as a third spec is to get Void, which allows you to absorb 5% of non-physical damage, which stacks with a Paladin talent that also works for spell damage, so you can get a lot of spell damage reduction that way. Now, the other option instead of Warlord would have been Reaver as a secondary spec, and the reason people take that, and while soloing it's actually pretty nice, because you have this Plaguebringer, which causes you to spread your next dot, which includes a Soul Sickness, and this talent makes Soul Sickness heal you. So if you got multiple enemies, you can put Soul Sickness on all of them instantly, and it'll heal you constantly, which is great for grinding for sure, but for tanking it's not really necessary, because the amount of healing you get is very trivial compared to what you're taking from the encounters. But if you do go this spec, you also get a nice amount of damage reduction, below 30% health, and then another small amount of damage reduction all the time. Most of the rest of the abilities, though, just deal with threat, not really mitigation or debuffs or anything like that. So I prefer Warlord for sure, at least at this level. Now, my character is not spec'd for solo grinding. I would definitely redo this if I wanted to solo grind as a Paladin. There's a couple of amazing talents up here for soloing. This talent right here causes your Retaliation, Disarm, and Counterbow to heal you, and these are both talents that activate after you block. So you block and then hit them and heal. And then this one, every time you block, you deal damage with this talent, and this talent makes you heal yourself, which is awesome. So when you combine these two, the healing is actually really good. I was grinding on like 4 mobs at once, and they couldn't touch me. But the problem is that you don't want to do that because killing is so slow with the spec. The purpose of going a Paladin is definitely not for grinding. It's not like in WoW Cataclysm where the tanks are all the best leveling specs. No, you want to only take this for tanking. So I've built this. I've ignored the healing talents because they're just not enough for tanking. That way I can put more into mitigation, like unyielding defense, damage taken is reduced by 20% when you block, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I promised I was going to go over this rotation in more detail. I was looking at these abilities. Empowering Strike, this comes from the Warlord, and it busts my armor, so I have it for 15 seconds. So I want to make sure I get one of those in there. Leader's Mark reduces the armor of the target, and so I want to make sure I get one of those in there. Pacifying Strike reduces their attack power, so I got to make sure I get one of those in there. So you see there's 3 attack points, 1 buff and 2 debuffs. Then there's Aggressive Block, which buffs my block chance by 10%, and it's already like 30%, I think. Yeah, I've got about 30.5% block already, so this just gives me another 10, which is awesome. Plus it does damage, threat, and attack power. For finishers, there's really nothing good. There's Righteous Blow, which is your basic Paladin attack. It doesn't even deal extra threat. It's pretty worthless, but you do have Spotter's Order from Warlord, and this is another one of the reasons why I got Warlord, which puts a very powerful debuff on the enemy target, which your DPS will approve of. So while tanking, I would definitely use this one over a Righteous Blow. And then in addition, I have Call to Battle, which I can probably activate once every 15 seconds to maintain the buff to attack power for the group. And then I mentioned Retaliation and Righteous or Disarming Counterblow. The only shitty thing about this is you can only use one of them at a time. So if you block, you can hit one, but not the other. So because Disarming Counterblow, the more powerful one, has a 30-second cooldown, what you can do is use this one first, and then after that, use use Retaliation. What is this? Is this a Guardian? Holy crap! Well, oh, there's a whole mob of them. I'm gonna get owned. Okay, well, I'll see you at the graveyard. So that was fun. Anyway, in addition to the other buffs I've gone over, I've already gone over most of them. The Paladin also has Shield and Aegis abilities. The Shield abilities, for example, Shield of the Hero, gives you block % chance and a chance to hit, or Shield of the Chosen, which gives you block and armor. I know they're not that much different, but I use Shield of the Chosen, obviously, for most of the time. Although I suppose if you are grinding, you might want the hit chance more, because it'll just kill stuff faster, I guess, but that's about it. For Aegises, they do the exact same thing, except Aegis of Salvation increases endurance for all party members at once. Aegis of Vitality only works on one at a time, and they actually, ignore the tooltip there. They actually do the exact same amount, which is kind of weird. So I'm not really sure what the purpose is of that. So again, I don't recommend this spec for grinding because it is so little damage, but if you were, just make sure you pick up the healing ones. You might drop some of your mitigation. And also at level 32, you get this really insane ability right here, which, well, to make a long story short, it does a tremendous amount of AoE damage, and it's on a 12-second duration, 12-second cooldown, so you can use it constantly, and it is just great for multiple enemies. It's probably required for tanking too. The last thing I don't think I've mentioned is the taunt. Shield throw, you want to open every fight with that. And then Judgment, which is your AoE taunt. You also have a charge, shield charge. So let me show you another standard pull if I manage to survive this time. I get ganked. Shield throw, charge, shield slam or whatever it's called, Righteous Blow, Powered Strike, Leader's Mark, Pacifying Strike, Righteous Blow. And then go back to my rotation, doing those 3 over and over again. Yeah, then he goes down. What I called Shield Slam, I actually meant to say Aggressive Block, so how about I get that one right this time? I'm going to use up my attack points to buff myself, and then charge, Powered Strike, Leader's Mark, Righteous Blow, Aggressive Block, Pacifying Strike, Powered Strike, Righteous Blow. If I was any other DPS spec, this guy would have been dead a while ago. If I was Riftblade, I would have killed 3 guys by now. There we go. Alright, so that's pretty slow, but I mean, look how little health I lost, and I don't even have the healing talent, so there you go. You take very little damage, which is, what you expect. So, okay, I got multiple enemies here, so I'm going to use my weak little AoE, Sweeping Strike. I had to look up the name, I couldn't remember the name. Do so many of these damn videos, it's hard to keep track of some of these abilities. Alright. So that's really all there is to say about the Paladin. Very simple. You just have a couple buff attacks you do a stun, you do kind of a crappy finisher. There's really nothing to it. And oh, what did I just step onto? I didn't even realize this is the lift. That's why they call it the lift base, I guess. What did I just... Apparently I'm in a new zone. I'm in unlabeled. Discovered nothing. Well, Scarwood Lift Summit. Oh my god. Okay. That was a surprise. I'm just like, well, why is the earth moving? Scarwood Reach is apparently where I wound up to. No idea what's going on there, but that's alright. So anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. This is Cromar with TGN.